Hi friends, what's up guys? So we have a chapter Nationalism here from our Polity book. So the nationalist struggles have contributed to the drawing and redrawing of boundaries of states and empires. So earlier there were some nationalist struggles that contributed to the drawing or redrawing of boundaries of states and empires. The process of reordering of state boundaries has not come to an end. That is a fact now. We know some of the boundary issues are between our China, Pakistan with India. So just as that, a lot of state boundary issues are there in our world too. Present day, German and Italian states were formed through a process of unification and consolidation. So an example is here. For example, German and Italian states were formed through a process of unification and consolidation. With the constitution of state, state boundaries, local dialects and social loyalties were also gradually consolidated into state loyalties and common languages. So with the with the consolidation of state boundaries, local dialects and local loyalties were also gradually consolidated into state loyalties and common languages. So we know when some state boundaries, some of the portions of the state, two states boundaries are get consolidated, then their local dialects and local loyalties may gradually consolidated and becoming their common languages and common loyalties. Nationalism also accompanied and contributed to the breakup of large empires such as Austro-Hungarian and Russian empires in the early 20th century in Europe, as well as breakup of British, French, Dutch and Portuguese empires in Asia and Africa. So far we have said that the nationalism which resulted for the consolidation of the state boundaries, but it also contributed to the breakup of large empires such as Austro-Hungarian and Russian empires in the early 20th century in Europe, as well as is breakup of British, French, Dutch, Portuguese empires in Asia and Africa. There are nationalist struggles that threatened to divide existing states. So some of the separatist movements are there in order to divide existing states. The Arab nationalism may hope to unite Arab countries in a pan-Arab union, but separatist movements like could struggle to divide existing states. So some of the states like Arab countries are trying to unite the Arab countries, in that is to make an Arab union. Some of the separatist movements are also there to divide the existing states. Then nations and nationalism. The nations are constituted by a group who share certain features like descent or language or religion or ethnicity. Nor do many nations have a common language to unite them. So in India, there is official 22 languages are there. Even we are saying that we are in a united manner. The all people in India are speaking various languages. There is no common languages that is connecting them. Then what constitutes a nation? So the answer is, a nation is to a great extent an imagined community held together by collective beliefs, aspirations and imaginations of its members. So what is constituting a nation? A nation is to a great extent an imagined community held together by the collective beliefs, aspirations, and imaginations of its members. Some of the assumptions which people make about the nations are shared beliefs. So, some of the shared beliefs are there. We know a nation is constituted by a belief. A nation exists when its members believe that they belong together. So the people who are living inside the country, they believe that they all belong together, then that will become a nation. So a nation is constituted by a belief. So after that beliefs become shared beliefs. Okay. Then history. People who see themselves as a nation also embody a sense of continuing historical identity. Their articulate sense of their own history by drawing on collective memories, legends, historical records to outline continuing identity of the nation. So friends, here it is saying that there are some collective memories, legends, historical records are there to outline the continuing identity of the nation. So when we talk about a country, that particular country have its own history, its own identity, its own legends, collective memories, etc. Its ancient civilization and cultural heritage and other achievements claim that India has had a long and continuing history as a civilization, and that this civilizational continuity and unity is the basis of Indian nation. So when we talk about our India, it has its own ancient civilization, its own cultural heritage and other achievements also. Then territory. Nations identify with a particular territory. Sharing a common part and living together on a particular territory over a long period of time gives people a sense of their collective identity. So we know each and every nation have its own identity with a particular territory. So the people who are living long in a particular area, they are sensing some types of collective identity based on their own territory. People who see themselves as a nation speak of a homeland. So when the people who see themselves as a nation, then that is becoming a homeland. Then shared political ideals. The members of a political community are bound by a set of obligations. These obligations arise from the recognition of rights of each other as citizens. So we are citizens, we have our own obligations to this country. A nation is strengthened when its people acknowledge and accept their obligations to their fellow members. So we have our own rights and we have to protect others' rights as well. And we have to help the fellow members. Then common political identity. Speaking the same language make it easier for us to communicate with each other, and sharing the same religion give us a set of common beliefs and social practices. So in this portion we are discussing about the common political identity. So we know when we speak the same language we can communicate each other and we can share our own ideas, beliefs, etc. Among the people. And when we are believing in a particular kind of religion, then that will provide some common beliefs and social practices also. Observing the same festivals, seeking the same holidays and holding the same symbols valuable can bring people together. So what bring people together? So the people are celebrating different festivals, and they have holidays and holding the same symbols. So we all have national anthem, national flag, national animal, national bird, like that. So that are commonly shared between all the citizens of India, that is bringing all the people together. But it can also pose a threat to the virtues, to the values that cherish in a democracy. So even in this unity, there is some type of threat is there, because all major religions in the world are internally diverse. There exists within these exists within each religion a number of sects who differ significantly in their interpretation of religious text or norms. So we have said that when we believe in particular religion, we are sharing the common beliefs and common social practices. So that type of religious system sometimes becoming a threat to the society, because for each and every religion they are internally diverse, and they are dividing into subsects, and who differ significantly in their interpretation of religious text and norms. If we ignore these differences and forge on identity on the basis of a common religion, we are likely to create a highly authoritative and oppressive society. So friends, here we are talking about the importance of religion in our society, because of the one side, when we consider the one side of the religion, it is sharing a common aspects for the particular religious people, but on the other side it may become it may create some types of riots among the people related with their religious community, caste, race, etc. So that religion has both positive and negative sides. Most society are culturally diverse. To impose a single religious or linguistic identity as a condition of belonging to a particular state would necessarily exclude some groups. It might restrict the religious liberty excluded group, or disadvantage those who do not speak the national language. So there should be equal treatment and liberty for all. So we know our country, our most society in the world are culturally diverse. So there is no common language, common religion for all. So that type of religious or linguistic diversity is existing here. Sometimes these religious matters may become a disadvantage to our society. Some types of dominations are there. That dominated community may treat the non-dominated community in an worse manner. So that will also create some types of problem in our society. Then comes the national self-determination. The idea of one culture, one state was employed while reordering state boundaries after World War II. So the idea of one culture, one state was employed while reordering the state boundaries after World War I. Reorganization of state boundaries to satisfy the demands of one culture, one state led to a mass migration of population across state boundaries. The problem of accommodating minorities as equal citizens remained. So we know a mass migration of population across the state boundary were happened in our country too, for the not to satisfy. It was due to the reorganization of state boundaries to satisfy the demands of one culture, one state. Okay. The problem of accommodating minorities as equal citizens remained. The right to national self-determination has been arrested by national liberation movements in Asia, Africa, when they were struggling against the colonists and dominations. So certain national liberation movements were there in Asia and Africa for to achieve the right to national self-determination. Most national liberation movements were inspired by the goal of bringing justice and the right to for the prosperity for the nation. So friends, it's all about our certain national liberation movements were there. So not to achieve a common language or one nation, one culture idea that never become a real thing. In order to resolve the problems arising from new claims for self-determination, but also for building a strong and united states. So this is not that much important. Then comes the nationalism and pluralism. Indian Constitution has an elaborate set of provisions for the protection of religious, linguistic and cultural minorities. So we know we have our own constitution. Based as per the constitution, certain rights and policies are there for protecting the religious minorities, protection of religious, linguistic and cultural minorities. Different groups need to be granted recognition as a part of the national community. There should be right to independent statehood for nationalities. A person may have identities based on gender, caste, religion, language or region. In a democracy, the political identity of a citizen should encompass the different identities which people may have. It would be dangerous if intolerant and homogenizing forms of identity and nationalism are allowed to develop. Then it's about Tagore's critique on nationalism. According to Tagore, patriotism cannot be our final spiritual shelter, and my refuge is humanity. I will not buy glass for the price of diamonds, and I will never allow patriotism to triumph over humanity as long as the life. Patriotism is a persistent theme in his writings. So it is the saying of Tagore about the patriotism. So according to him, patriotism cannot be our final spiritual shelter. My refuge is humanity. I will not buy glass for the price of diamonds, and I will never allow patriotism to triumph over humanity as long as I live.